So welcome back, everybody, to Flyneau Reads 49 Hours by ScribeOfRhapsody. Today we're on Chapter 5, Hour 8 of 49. My name's Amanda.
And I'm Chris.
And let's get started. Wedge would be the easiest target. That much Ignis was certain of. He wasn't certain who was next on the list after that, though. Highwind struck him as the most skilled so far, given the confidence she carried and that she had multiple men who clearly respected her working for her. But Loki was... Jesus, that's a lot of words. Sorry. But Loki was more ruthless and dedicated to the mission. In fact, given the qualms Highwind and her men had shown, Ignis wondered if she would even fight him if he managed to take down Loki. He wasn't going to count in her releasing him, but he acknowledged that there was at least a chance. Loki was Ignis's best chance at success, but first, Wedge needed to be dealt with. Ignis stalked the dark-coated man from the level above, taking measured breaths as he kept his footsteps as quiet as possible. This was going to require a lot of precision.
I'm just picturing scenes from The Matrix's long black cloak.
Yeah. Oh god, if Wedge was in The Matrix, he wouldn't survive because he's such a cinnamon roll, and cinnamon rolls don't survive The Matrix.
Having never seen it, I don't know what the heck survives The Matrix. I just know about that one. The long black coat.
Oh gosh. It would have been easier if Ignis had been aiming to kill, a higher chance of success even. Just a simple dagger to the throat. His aim was by far good enough for that, but no. Ignis shook his head, almost ashamed of himself. He'd trained all his life for this type of situation, but these particular circumstances were not what he'd expected to face. These mercenaries might be working for the Empire, but they didn't want a part in his kidnapping. Noct wasn't in danger for Ignis to protect either. It was just him, and he couldn't justify making Wedge his first kill, even without factoring in how his death would enrage Highwind. Oh, it would enrage her good. She would be very mad.
Death by Highwind.
Yes.
Usually
that would be a death that would plague his conscience and relentlessly. Loki, though, Ignis couldn't make the same defense for him. If it came to it, if Loki ended up being his first kill, well, Ignis wasn't naive. He knew there would still be sleepless nights for him, but not nearly as many. Loki was an enemy of insomnia, an enemy of Lucius. That, at least, he could tell himself. And that was a whole page of just me talking.
Yep.
So much white.
Mm-hmm.
He stopped, sucking in a breath as a chill ran through him. He already made his first kill. The Imperials in the garage. He knew he'd killed them with the blast of magic.
1 second. Didn't think you guys needed to hear the squeak of my door. Okay.
Why'd you have to get up and close your door?
I didn't. My mother was letting the cat in.
Oh, okay. Okay, so the Imperials in the garage. He knew he'd killed them with that blast of magic, but it hadn't really sunk in until now. They were helmeted, not MTs, but faceless opponents. He hadn't even seen the bodies. It was difficult to compare that to the mental image of how Wedge would bleed out on the floor while trying in vain to stem the blood flow that was gushing from his neck.
That's a picture.
Yeah, I know, a sad picture. Poor Wedge.
Highwind's just running over. Who did this? Ignis. He will cry.
Yeah, that would ruin any romantic potential they had.
Mm-hmm.
Ignis continued to hold his breath as Wedge stepped away from the shop. Carefully, he continued tailing the man until he passed the steps connecting the levels.
It's like, instead of going Ignis, even though Ignis killed him, he's like, Loki.
That'd be nice of him. And then he'd be like, "No, I must protect the potential romance between my boss and my kidnappee."
They'd be so good together, but at the same time.
No, he would not kill. Okay, are you done yet?
Sorry.
No, it's fine. No, he would not kill Wedge. Killing someone with knives was far more personal than what had happened before, and Wedge wasn't truly his enemy. Silently, Ignis descended the stairs to a certain point and then hopped over the railing, landing in a crouch behind the mercenary. It was then that he surged forwards, kicking in Wedge's knees from behind and clapping a hand over his mouth before looping an arm around the other man's neck.
Okay, is it shaking on purpose?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. The Imperial began struggling instantly, but Ignis threw himself back, using his weight to drag them both to the ground before wrapping his leg around the thrashing Imperials to keep him from wriggling out of the hole. Stop moving, Ignis willed. His arms were shaky but locked, and he couldn't guarantee that he wouldn't break the man's neck if he didn't stop thrashing around. Soon enough, though, Wedge quieted, going limp. Another full page of just me talking. So much narration in this chapter. Ignis released him, making certain Wedge was still breathing before he stood. 2 down, Loki was next. To the electronics store, then. Wait, no. Footsteps? Ignis's eyes shot around the area, and he darted behind the nearest kiosk. He wouldn't have much time before Loki saw Wedge's crumpled form. Sure enough, Loki swore, and the footsteps picked up until Ignis could see him standing beside the mercenary's unconscious form.
Sorry. The question here now is Loki really concerned, or is he just pissed that they failed?
Probably pissed that he failed. He's a garbage bag after all.
He is poop.
He is. And there was what Ignis needed to do. Swish. He lunged, using the kiosk as a vaulting point to attack from above. Loki heard him coming, turning and pulling his arms in defense at the last second, causing Ignis's dagger to only nick his wrists as he twisted and sent Ignis rolling across the floor. Ignis used his momentum to get his feet beneath him, his coat fanning out behind him as the soles of his shoes slid across the polished floor, leaving him facing his opponent in a crouch. My mind's just imagining, like, the coolest fight scene right now.
The problem is my mind's doing the same thing, and it's like, who's going to act first?
Yeah, I know. Loki's eyes were wide with surprise and fury as he stared Ignis down, but Ignis was already eyeing his true target. In his instinctive blind block, Loki had dropped his real weapon, the cell phone. Dun dun dun. The phone was just on the floor, just past him. Oh, sorry, the phone? God damn English. The phone was on the floor just past him.
It is the flown.
Yes.
That's actually a very fun word, flown.
Flown. Yeah.
It's not a word, but it's a fun word.
Yup. Ignis darted forwards again, acting like he was going to attack once more. As he predicted, Loki readied his stance to defend himself, leaving the area to either of his sides wide open. Ignis dropped, letting the floor's lack of friction carry him past the Imperial right to where he needed to be. The phone was in his hand by the time he returned to his feet once more.
You never know, it could have been fused to his hand. It's like goes to pick it up, all of a sudden he realizes it's fused to his body now. He now has a phone in his hand. Quite literally.
This is not in another world with my cell phone.
To be fair, that didn't happen there either.
No, I know, but the name fits for the situation.
Yeah.
Anyway, given the expression on Loki's face, he realized his error. Too late. Ignis flashed him a faint smirk, tossing the phone from his right hand to his right hand for a better grip.
Much obliged.
He turned and ran, his unfamiliar shoes carrying him up the stationary escalator. He had everything he needed. All that was left was escaping, and the goal was within sight. He skidded to a stop at the top of the escalator, adrenaline spiking as he spotted Highwind checking Big's pulse. Blast. She'd already spotted him, but he couldn't go back down the escalator, and there was no way past her without a direct face-off. He darted to his left, heading back into the mall, but on the top level instead of back down to where Loki was. As rapidly as his heart was beating, he could have sworn it missed at least 4 beats as the unmistakable sound of a gunshot split the air. Ignis's footfalls faltered for a moment as the glass part of the railing shattered, splinters flying near him. Loki was shooting at him. He was bloody shooting at him. Wasn't the whole point of this to bring him back alive? Ah, wait, yes, he understood. Loki would rather fail the mission in that regard than let Ignis slip away with the information that was on the phone. The Imperial couldn't let him return to the king with information on who Niflheim's source within the Kingslave was. Ignis pushed the thought from his mind as the storefront he was passing shattered with another bullet. It didn't matter why Loki was shooting at him, just that he was. It would only take one hit. Ignis needed to focus. His breaths were already labored, and he wouldn't last very long in an all-out sprint. Then again, neither would his pursuers in all likeliness. But Ignis was willing to wager that Highwind had better stamina than he and Loki did.
Especially when she's pissed.
Yeah. At that moment, he wasn't sure which of them to be more worried about. Yet another shot rang out, which, by the way, the gunshots aren't too loud this time, are they?
They're still a little up there, but they're not as bad as the first time we recorded this.
Okay, sorry. Once again, this is our second time recording an episode again.
To be fair, there was nothing wrong with the previous episode, we just got a better mic this time.
Yep, I got a new microphone. Excuse me. Yet another shot rang out, and Ignis swiftly turned the corner he'd reached, realizing only after the fact that the turn led to one of the larger department stores that had no exit. Damn! He ran straight into the railing in front of him, looking down. The stairs in the area were back on the main stretch. The elevator nearby wasn't fast enough, but he might be able to cheat. Ignis jumped, spinning around as a blast of red something. It looked like magic, but could it be that? Completely took out a chunk of the railing beside him. You gave Biggs a concussion, Highwind said flatly, whipping a lance around in a ready position. Where in Eos had she gotten that? There was absolutely no way he'd missed her carrying that around until now. It was not a subtle weapon.
He'll live.
Ignis stepped to the side, placing himself right where the gap in the railing now was.
Yeah, fun fact. She got her weapon from the same place Ignis gets his weapons.
Yes, Aranea is one of the few people who has access to magical powers outside of the crystal.
Mm-hmm.
Which I don't remember why she does, I just remember that she does.
And honestly, when the blast went across the screen, the first thing that popped in my head when we were first recording this was, oh shoot, he actually connected with a bullet.
No, gosh, that would have been bad. But, oh, no, you just made me think of, someone does connect with a bullet later.
Yep, and you just dropped for a second.
Oh, sorry.
Just as you went halfway through on, it's like you dropped.
Yeah. But no, and it's not the person you're thinking of either. More than one bullet gets shot at people in this thing, because Loki is bullet happy.
Loki's actually happy about something?
Pretty much.
I didn't know poop had emotions.
Yup. Anyways, do your Ignis voice.
You haven't said the line yet.
Yes, I did.
Then I didn't hear it, apparently. Which is...
well, fine, I'll say it again. Ignis stepped to the side, placing himself where the gap in the railing now was.
Which is more than can be said for me if I go with you lot.
Oh, she had no idea that she'd just improved his chances. There was no exit in the store on this level, but there was one in the store below it. He sent a mental thanks to Prompto and Noct for all the times they'd dragged him here. He'd never bemoan another trip like that again.
The thing that's going through my head is like little 5-year-old versions of Noct and Pronto just dragging an adult Ignis around the store going, look at that, look at that, look at that, I really want that toy.
Yeah, thing is, Ignis only has 2 years on them, so when they're 5 years old, he'd only be 7.
I can still see Ignis with this level of maturity in that scene playing out.
That's true.
Let's be honest, that's going to happen even without, even with them as teenagers.
Yep.
Especially Pronto, because he's a kid.
Yeah. Prompto is another precious cinnamon roll that must be protected at all times.
Mm-hmm. It's more than can be said for you if you try and run again.
Loki spat, rounding the corner with his gun in hand. Where's Wedge, and how the hell did he get loose anyway? Highwind jabbed in his direction with her lance.
Your man is fine. Not that Loki cares.
Yeah, Loki sounded utterly dismissive.
And it would appear that our young merchant here is capable of selling weapons via the crystal. He cut himself free with a dagger. What I'm curious about is how Loki knows that.
Oh, he would have seen him doing it when he attacked him.
Ah.
Yeah. Highwind's eyebrows shot up. No kidding! You kept that little fact hidden until now. She bobbed her head thoughtfully. Okay, I'll admit it, you're clever. He sent her a half-smirk.
Well, I'd have to be... Well, I have been told I'm rather conniving at times.
Ba-dum-tish.
All the puns.
Highwind groaned loudly. Okay, I'm gagging you again just for that pun.
Well, we can worry about that once he's been restrained again. I didn't realize Loki still wanted to restrain him.
Well, yeah, of course he wants to... Well, yeah, Loki wants to kill him, but it's like he wants to keep him alive if possible as well.
It's like, do I kill him and get the phone? Do I kill him and not get the phone? Do I let him live and not get the phone? Do I let him live and get the phone? Oh, the options. I like I like killing him and getting the phone better.
Yeah, and he likes killing you and getting the phone better as well.
Mm-hmm.
Loki glared at Ignis, his grip tight on his gun.
I'll be taking... Sorry, my voice cracked. I'll be taking the phone back.
Ignis gritted his teeth.
Not a chance. You don't have another option.
Loki hissed.
Oh, but I do.
Ignis relished the look on the other man's face when he leaned back and let himself fall from the second level. It was nerve-wracking as hell, but Ignis knew he'd be safe. Prompto had wailed on about wanting to try the oversized trampolines in this area enough times that Ignis knew exactly where they were. By his second bounce, Ignis was low enough to roll onto his feet and stumble to the edge of the area. He sliced the net in his way with his daggers, shoving off the trampoline to land shakily on the floor once more. He summoned his lance, hurling it through the glass doors, separating him from the outside. He didn't go through, though. If they gained on him, he would only be shot by Loki. Let them think what they would of the broken doors to the outside. Look, do you want to catch him or not? Jump! Ignis could hear Highwind's voice over the crunch of the broken glass under his boots as he ran past the door. He stalled them, not by much, but maybe enough. The line of sight was broken. All he needed was a moment. He kept running further into the store, running to what he hoped would be the last place they'd look for him. He dared a glimpse over his shoulder as he slipped through the door to the women's restroom. This was not how he expected his day to go, he mused, as he summoned his lance once more and stuck it through the handle in the door. On the door. Hopefully barring anyone from entry if they tried.
The thing is...
Not that being... Oh, go ahead.
The thing is, the first thing popped in my head is like, you went into the women's bathroom. I really hope Highwind doesn't need to use the washroom.
Haha. I highly doubt it as well. There we go. Sorry, I was just adjusting my microphone.
Mm-hmm.
Not that being stuck in the ladies' laboratory was an ideal alternative, but it was preferable to being kidnapped. Ignis's back hit the wall of the stall behind him, and he nearly collapsed into it, letting it take the brunt of his weight as he ran a hand through his hair and just tried to breathe. With shaky fingers, he removed his glasses, staggering over to the sink and setting the phone down, fumbling with the knob before tearing his glove off so he could splash his eyes with water. He pressed his palms into his closed lids. I'm reading so much in this chapter. Yep. It's a good thing I have a drink right next to me.
Mm-hmm.
Breathe in. Breathe out. Breathe in. Breathe out. Breathe in. He dropped his hands, grabbed a nearby paper towel to wipe his face, and calmly replaced his gloves. Breathe out. Control, focus, instinct, training. These were his allies now. He slid his glasses back on, ignoring the crack in his left lens. His right hand found the phone, and he quickly typed in the code he'd observed Loki entering before. Rather convenient that he remembers that.
Mm-hmm.
It was all too easy to find the number Loki had been texting. It was the only number on the phone.
To be fair, it's Ignis.
That is true. Quickly, Ignis raked his eyes over the digits, muttering them aloud till he had them memorized. This might be all he had to go on if this didn't work. Ignis took one more calming breath and hit the call option. 1 ring, 2 rings, click.
I forget, deep voice or...
Yeah, deep voice.
Have you lost your mind breaking protocol like this? You're fortunate I'm alone.
Ignis gripped the phone. Ignis's grip on the phone tightened. He'd been hoping it was someone's voice that he'd recognized. He hadn't expected it to be a voice he'd recognized so well.
Titus
Stratus.
I still read that as Dorito. Titus Stratus. Titus Stratus.
Ignis's voice came out low and more stable than he felt.
I will see you executed for this treason.
End. Dun dun
Dun,
dun.
dun.
So Chris doesn't know because he's not seen the movie, but Titus Stratus is the leader of the Glades.
Mm-hmm.
So he's a very important man.
So this was interesting. Bit of a twist.
Oh, well, yeah.
It also explains why he's so freaking good at leading the Glaives on a wild goose chase without it looking fishy.
Pretty much, because he's the leader.
Mm-hmm. It's gonna look a little odd if a subordinate goes, maybe we should go check over here, if he, instead of the leader going, okay, search this area, this area, this area, and then we'll slowly make our way through the city.
Pretty much. I mean, smarter people like Nix would probably catch on being like, we're not searching certain areas here, kind of thing, but they also wouldn't question the guy's authority.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, so that was Chapter 5 of 49 Hours by ScribeOfRhapsody. We hope you enjoyed.
Yep. It was definitely interesting.